I always understood clothes. I always understood colours, and I always understood the power of being stylish and the confidence that would give you. I remember saying to her, can't you just be like so-and-so and wear like Laura Ashley dresses? Because she'd rock up on the school run looking just epically stylish. I don't know what it was about me that kind of wanted her to look all the other mums, because she definitely stood out because of the nature of the people that I worked with, specifically child sex offenders. Some of the things I've experienced, I don't know if I'll ever talk about. You just never knew what was going to happen on a daily basis, and when it was a bad day, it was a really, really, really bad day.
I dread to think what my style would be like without you.
I wouldn't have a business without you, Tasha, thank God. We have each other.
We've got a win-win.
My elbows remind me of my grandma. My knees are awful. My arms are this. And I'm like, come on, let's get it all out, because that quite often we have all these thoughts on our own and we internalize them. It stops us wearing things. It's really important that we as women don't become too invisible. And I see a lot of women who really have lost themselves. People will spend a small fortune on a dress that they will wear to a wedding and they will wear it once. But then they'll be wearing a coat on the school run every day that makes them feel like shit. That is crazy.
Hello and welcome to Tash Insights. I am so excited about my guest today for the reason that my guest, Georgina Davies, George, is my best friend, as she's been telling everyone all day, of 44 years, which obviously means you can immediately guess how old I am, because we met when we were 44 years ago. Welcome, Georgina. Or should I say welcome, George?
Why are you calling me Georgina?
She's saying, why am I calling her Georgina? Welcome, George.
Hi. Thanks, Tash.
You?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Should we set a bit of context as to where we are?
Okay.
It's a Saturday.
Yes, we're in Brighton.
We're in Brighton, which is where you live.
Yeah, you've come down from London with your daughter.
I have, and they've gone
friends
shopping.
with my daughter.
And they've gone shopping.
They've gone shopping. We've got 2 hours to talk to each other.
And we're going to be talking first of all about your career and the incredible work you do through your business, Brighton Stylist.
Yes.
So do you want to give a brief intro to yourself and what you do?
So my name's George, otherwise known as Brighton Stylist, which I have been running now for 16 years. You are the reason that I became a stylist because you were just like, I can't shop for myself. And I had been styling you without realising it for many years, hadn't I?
Not since I was 4, but since
Probably maybe like later teenage years.
Teens,
I think,
yeah.
Well, I think we always used to shop together, didn't we? And
Yeah.
we used to look at what we were both wearing and often used to wear matching outfits, as you do back in the day. And you just said that you didn't have the headspace to think about clothes. I suppose I should say that my mum was a stylist, so back in the sort of 90s or maybe actually late 80s, her and her friend Lindsay used to run something called Butterflies, which was where they used to go up to London and they would buy clothes like from lovely department stores, and then they would have coffee mornings, like the old sort of Tupperware parties for women of Henley. And they did colour analysis and body shape analysis. So I think I always understood clothes. I always understood colours, and I always understood the power of being stylish and the confidence that would give you. And I think I was always asked by friends like you to kind of help them with their style. Certainly if any of my friends were getting married, I was always the friend that would go along and look at the wedding dresses. But I'd never really considered actually doing it as a career, because I was doing a very different job before that. But I remember being in London with you. I remember
you remember this. I don't quite remember this.
I remember
What
it.
do you remember?
So I remember we were in your flat. So it was the flat before you lived in the Ruston Mews. And I remember sitting at a desk with you, and we definitely had a few drinks. And you were just like, you should be a stylist. And I remember saying, no one pays for a stylist. It's only celebrities that have stylists, because people weren't doing it back then.
I do remember this, actually. It's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. I even remember that desk. That was my white vintage desk.
It was
I was
the white
quite
vintage
proud
desk.
of. I was very proud of that white vintage
yeah.
desk. And yes, I remember saying that's when we bought the domain name Brighton Stylist.
It was exactly that moment.
Yeah.
And that was just a stroke of genius, because that's obviously been really great for my Google ranking.
Yes, well, that's why I bought that too. That's why we got the domain name Brighton Stylist.
I mean, there's no way I would have thought of that. And I wouldn't have obviously thought about making it a career. And I think then we looked into the courses that I could do, because I think I knew quite a lot, but I didn't really understand like how to dress lots of different body shapes. I knew about colour, but I didn't really understand how that translated to other people. And I put myself onto a course at London College of Fashion. And I went to do that. I think I stayed with you whilst I was doing that. And then
I built the website.
You built the website.
I built the Brighton Stylist website.
Got
the website ranking in Google for searches for stylist in Brighton. And it's 16 years ago.
16 years ago. So
if we rewind to your mum and those teenage years and early influences, because I do remember, I mean, my memories of the time are that your mum and, was it Lindsay?
Yes.
Were running this colour analysis business.
Yeah.
Along with another mum of another friend of ours, I think was involved as well.
I think she was, yeah.
So, and that was like a really big thing they were doing.
Yes.
And people were really enjoying it.
People loved it.
And I remember lots of people got invited. I never actually got invited to one of those colour analysis things. I remember being quite upset. But now I've obviously had my colours done many times.
Thankfully, I was dressing you in the right
And
colours.
I also remember you always were looking at magazines. Well, we both were obsessed with magazines. But you in particular would look at Vogue and all those catwalk pages.
You see, I don't remember this. But
See, I do, 'cause
obviously...
You would always be looking at the catwalk pages, and I used to look at them because you were looking at them, and I used to think, I don't really know what to take from this or what to make from it, but you'd be
Take the inspiration.
Well, you'd be quite kind of like, okay, that's what's happening, and I always used to think, that's so amazing. How do you know that's what's happening? But back then we weren't that stylish, were we?
No, we weren't, and I think my mum was really stylish, but I feel really bad because she was wearing like very cool sort of like what they were called at the time flying suits, but they were like the boiler suits, the jumpsuits that we wear now.
Yeah.
And she was wearing like gingham pedal pushers and like these really great colours.
Wearing that sort of stuff.
And she was obviously like absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And I remember saying to her, can't you just be like so-and-so and wear like Laura Ashley dresses? Because she'd rock up on the school run looking just epically stylish now.
I mean, she did used to rock up on the school run in junior school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looking absolutely beautiful, an amazing outfit, almost looking like a model.
Yeah. I mean, she still is, but she was always so gorgeous. But I just think I don't know what it was about me that kind of wanted her to look all the other mums, because she definitely stood out.
Yeah, she did stand out.
Yeah.
But she must have been an inspiration to you. Well, she obviously has been in terms of the work you've gone on to do now.
Oh, definitely. It's like in so many ways. And just, I really don't take it for granted now how much I learned from her, because I work with a lot of women now who often say to me they've had no point of reference from their mothers or sisters in terms of styling or in terms of like how to shop, what to wear. And I'm really grateful, because it's just something I've always known. And obviously now I'm making a career out of it, which is great.
So they were doing early colour analysis work and shopping trips, weren't they?
Well, they weren't doing shopping trips. They brought the clothes to people. So they would go to these sort of, I can't even remember where they bought them from, but they would go up and select clothing, and then they would bring that down and they would do sort of these presentations, and then the people were able to buy the clothes and they were able to style them. They did that together for quite a while, which was, I think they had a lot of fun doing it.
But when you began your career, you didn't actually go into styling at all, did you?
No. So styling, I had a child quite young. I mean, Jack, I was 24 when I had Jack. He's now the same age that I was when I had him. And so I came back from Moscow. Fell pregnant whilst I was travelling around the world, came back slightly irritated because I had a lot of more travelling planned, and came back and had him and just really didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and did a counselling course. And then part of that counselling course was I had to go and do a bit of a placement somewhere. So I did it at a rehab in Brighton, and I would assess whether people were ready for rehab, drug rehabilitation. And I then was offered a role at a supported housing service for high-risk offenders. And I ended up being a project worker there for a few years before I ended up managing the whole of the service. So we had 7 houses across Sussex, and we housed high-risk offenders, so predominantly men who had committed murder or sexual offences.
And how many years were you doing that career for?
I was doing that for 18 years.
I mean, it's the most incredible career, which I think do you often get to share much about it or talk about it? You didn't used to, particularly at the time. And then I would hear things you were doing and think, I was leading a much more kind of frivolous life in magazines, and you'd be telling me some of the things you were doing, and I'd be thinking, oh my God, this is so significant compared to...
Well, I mean, I think anything that people do is significant, but I think it was quite an unusual role. And I think because of the nature of the people that I worked with, specifically child sex offenders, I think people reacted quite strongly to the fact that we were supporting them and housing them and working with them. So even within our service, so my service was part of a huge charity. We weren't even allowed to talk about the people that we worked with on training days within that charity because of the backlash of what we were doing.
But your role then, if I'm correct, and you can tell me if I am or not and tell us what you did, but you used to go into prisons, assess whether people were suitable to come out, and then bring them into one of those houses whereupon they'd stay for a period of time until they were then free to go back into the community. I mean, I think you were effectively teaching these people how to relive their lives again in a way that's acceptable to society.
Yes, so they would be, because they'd been in prison for a very long time, given the nature of their offences, quite often they would have a parole hearing, and part of that parole hearing would be that they would have somewhere to live. So yeah, we would go and assess them. They'd come and live with us, and the houses, they were just very normal houses from the outside. No one really knew what we were. And the biggest house we'd have, there'd probably about 6 men in most of the houses. I think I was responsible for about 42 of the men in across Sussex.
All coming out of long-term prison sentences.
All coming out of long-term prison sentences. And they would all be on licence to probation. So when you kind of commit an offence, you are sentenced. You then generally, rule of thumb, you'll serve half of your prison sentence in prison, and then the rest of it you will serve. If you've behaved well in prison, you will then get released into society, and you'll be on something called a licensed probation. Now, licensed probation is, a lot of men were very excited about coming out of prison and thought that their life was about to start, but actually you come out into society and you've got a huge amount of rules and regulations on you. You've got to report to probation every week. You've got to have meetings. You've got to set up your benefits. You've got to start kind of trying to make inroads in relationships with your families that you might have been estranged from for many, many years, and you might have offended against some people in your family. So you are really rebuilding your life straight away from the ground up when you are released from prison, which is incredibly daunting. And without sort of secure accommodation, without meaningful use of time, without support, you are going to probably reoffend and go back to custody. And the kind of prison system and how it works, it costs £1,000 a year to house somebody in prison. It was much cheaper for them to be living with us. And I had very good relationships with the approved premises, that if somebody was being a bit tricky, you would move them in there. And you would do offence-related work with them. So we would be looking at their offence history, how not to replicate that and go back into offending. Also doing practical things like setting up benefits, getting them back into work, and all constantly looking at moving them on into independent accommodation.
I mean, it's extraordinary thinking that you spent all those years dealing with all those people in those types of scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things I've experienced, I don't know if I'll ever talk about. I mean, it's just, you could write a book about it. You just never knew what was going to happen on a daily basis. And when it was a bad day, it was a really, really, really bad day.
But what did you learn about people through dealing with all of those men across 18 years? You're talking about over 40 men who are coming out of life sentences at any one point in time for 18 years. It's a huge number of people in quite a unique niche situation.
I think that people are people. None of them, predominantly most of the men I work with, none of them had a really lovely, nurturing childhood. And it was sometimes so shocking, things that aren't even reported in the press. That's how bad they are. And you would read that referral and you would think, oh my God, this is the most abhorrent thing I've ever read in my life. How am I going to go and see that person and connect with them? Because part of the job was I had to go and meet them, connect with them very, very quickly, get them to trust me, get them to talk to me. Then I could manage their risk and work out whether we could have them in our houses, because we weren't staffed 24/7. They were basically there on their own in the evenings and at night time. It's sort of semi-independent accommodation. If I was bringing one person in, I had 5 other men living there who were all on licence, who I had a responsibility to. So I've got to be very careful about the house mix of where I put people. But people are people, and I could always find something to connect with somebody about, and you could always work with somebody. I think there was like a handful of people over the 18 years that I just couldn't work with. And mostly our success rate was really high. We had an incredible service. People did really well. I still bump into people now occasionally in Brighton who will say, I'm really sorry I was such an asshole back then, but actually I can now see exactly what you were doing, and I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm doing really well. And the people that didn't do well, they would be recalled back to prison. And it was honestly the most incredible job. I absolutely loved it. And I was devastated when I lost that job, when we had to close the service after COVID. It was probably one of the hardest things I've ever been through, because I was leading a team of like 20 people, and we were all having to close down a service. We were all losing our jobs, and we were all being asked to do something that none of us were motivated to do, because we wanted to continue running the service. And we were also making sort of like 40 men homeless. And then ensued this horrendous jigsaw puzzle. I was working with 5 different probation teams, 6 different councils, 3 different police teams, trying to rehouse these men in 6 months. And trying to rehouse specifically child sex offenders is the most challenging thing in the world, because not only are you looking at the proximity to schools and nurseries, but you would find somewhere in a block of flats, and then you would find out from a different police team that there would be another sex offender living there, so you weren't allowed to put them in there. So it was the worst jigsaw puzzle I've ever done, but it was the most amazing thing that I've ever done as well, because we essentially got pretty much everybody into secure housing in that 6 months, bar about 3 people went into temporary, and we did it really well. So I really, really miss the job. I mean, it's crazy to think that I really do miss working.
And I remember you obviously weren't able to tell anyone much about specifics, but I knew you liked a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, you got on with them, and you would often be always in a house by yourself with 6 high-risk offenders at any one point in time.
Yeah.
But how did you, in your mind, or is there a difference between, say, the crime that someone's done and the person that shows up in front of you?
I think so. I'm very much somebody who thinks that I don't listen to what people say, I watch what people do. But I also think that we're not always defined by things that we've done in the past. And certainly I'm sure we've all got things that if we actually really racked our brains that we're very ashamed about, that we wouldn't want somebody else to know. And I think there sometimes are a specific set of circumstances that lead people to commit offences. I have a real belief in that if you make people feel better in themselves and you make people feel part of a community, they have some meaningful occupation, then they are far less likely to reoffend, far less likely to harm someone and create more victims. So really my job was to build these men up, give them skills, give them confidence, alongside an amazing team that I managed. I mean, everyone was amazing. But whilst also managing risk, monitoring them, quite often probation, who were the statutory service that we used to work with, they would almost, at times, I think, look down on the work that we were doing with these guys. But what was really interesting is these guys were kind of presenting their best selves to their probation officer for 20 minutes a week, whereas I was seeing them every single day, whatever mood they were in. I was listening to conversations. I was hearing how they were communicating with other service users. You'd see if they'd been drinking. We were privy to so much information that actually my concern is that nothing really exists in the way that what we used to provide. And actually, I know firsthand how much men who've committed really serious offences need a huge amount of support in not creating more victims and not going back to prison, which is cost the taxpayer so much money. And I mean, my service was so cheap to run versus actually housing somebody in prison.
So the service ended up closing after COVID?
After COVID, yeah.
Because of COVID?
No, because of funding. So West Sussex County Council, I had one house in Brighton, in East Sussex, and the other 6 houses were in West Sussex, and they had huge funding cuts. And I got really close. I don't know if you remember. So I was going to set up my own.
I do remember, because we work on the financial models together.
So I had I was going to set up. I think it was part of being made redundant.
You had a house.
I had the house ready. I had the funding ready.
Yeah.
I had housing benefit agreed. I had the staff wanting to work for me. I had this one house that was going to be in Worthing, and I couldn't get liability insurance. Because I think it was so high risk, but there was only one house. I'm so glad I didn't do it.
I know. I mean, I remember when we worked on the financial models for it, it was really interesting for me because obviously I've never seen publicly funded business models in that way apart from that one. And it was obvious it was a viable setup completely. There is essentially you're getting paid by the government per prisoner, allowances across one form or another that eventually allow you to set up a house and run this service and see them rehabilitated. But yes, I do remember you got the public liability insurance, and then you were really relieved. And I did used to think it was a huge responsibility to take on.
I mean, I would never have my phone off. I'd be sitting here now.
Yeah.
I mean,
you would have just been, so you were already with the existing houses, at various points you'd get calls.
Yeah.
But this was like next level to think it wasn't going to be part of a charity. You were going to be the charity.
Yeah. And as I said,
and they are and it's high risk offenders.
I mean, I could write a book of the terrible things that happened. You just would walk in and you would have absolutely no idea what you were going to be faced with on a daily basis. And you would do lots of risk assessments, but you really honestly could not always predict what was going to happen. And I was already getting pressure from what type of offenders I was going to be taking. You've actually got people who are maybe more chaotic service users, for example, people who may be repeat offenders, they've maybe done some armed robberies. Putting them into a house where everyone else is quite stable can be like putting a bomb going off. So actually, I was already getting pressure of what type of offenders I was going to take. And I'm just so relieved I didn't do it, because I think it would have just been very stressful. And now my job, I very rarely get stressed with work, but I would have been constantly stressed, I think.
So throughout the whole time of working for that charity, well, I suppose not the whole time, about 16 years ago, you set up the styling business alongside that. And that came because I said... So, I mean, tell the story of how that came about then. I said to you, people will pay you for this.
Yeah, obviously you've just got the best business brain. And I remember you saying, people pay for this. And I was like, no, celebrities are the only people that you style.
Because what were you doing for me at the time? You were basically choosing
your clothes
each month.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I'm known for my very incredible style. Which has nothing to do with me at all, and all to do with you.
Well, I think it is. It's also how you put things together. I choose the things, but you put them together.
I'm also willing to wear the things you choose.
Yeah, you are. You are great. You are like my best type. You'll literally just wear whatever I tell you.
George says to wear it, must be fine, wear it. But yeah, so you were choosing all my clothes, and I'm trying to think when this was.
You were very busy. Were you working in the Daily Mail?
No, I think it must have been with the kids, was this? Yeah, no, it was
after. Pre-Fin. Well, I think it was pre-Fin. We had the conversation, and then...
So I had my own business. I had Talk to the Press.
That was it.
Yeah, so I had Talk to the Press, which was a journalism business that I set up after the Daily Mail. And that was the first business I had. And I can't really remember what I was doing, but I've never really been able to handle the shop. So I find it really overwhelming, very stress-inducing. Yeah. And the bigger the shops have got, and the more they've changed their collections, and the more shops that have arrived... Back then, I don't know what would have been around, but I can't even handle Zara. I can't even handle them. So I go in them and I get incredibly stressed, completely overwhelmed, and just end up feeling like I'm having a panic attack. So
I think that's very common.
So you were really helping me, because you were just choosing a few things and send it to me, and then I'd order them, or I'd order them online.
Yeah. And then you were getting compliments.
And I was getting compliments. Yeah. And I was also choosing, I was getting things that I never would have chosen off my own accord. Yeah. Firstly, because I wouldn't have had the patience. I wouldn't have known. I just wouldn't have gone in that shop in the first place. I would have I dread to think what my style would be like without you.
Well, I wouldn't have a business without you, Tasha. Thank God. We have each other.
Win-win. I just have no idea where, but bearing in mind how much I hate the shops, and even thinking about it, stress. And actually online shopping is just as bad, because it's the really volume of items, and not knowing what you're looking for. So I said to you, I think people will pay for this.
And
thought,
I was like, no, they won't,
because it was only celebrities.
Because no one was doing it then, and this is pre-Instagram. I can't remember, how long's Instagram been going?
Well, they came on about 2012, 2013. I think they're like 13, 14 years old.
So it was pre-Instagram. I think people were maybe doing blogs. I never did a blog.
I think they probably were doing blogs, I
remember you telling me I should do a blog.
I definitely told you should do a blog, I
probably should have done a blog, but I didn't do a blog. and I just started, and I remember doing the course at London College of Fashion.
I think that I'd had that huge success with Talk to the Press, which was a website, and that was the beginning of me going to digital marketing. I must have had it at that point. What year do you think it was you set up the styling business? 2008. No, Finn was born in 2008.
So maybe it was just after Finn. Maybe he was a baby.
So in 2007, I'd set up Talk to the Press, and I'd had a huge success in getting a website to rank in Google.
Yes, and you taught yourself
to make. And I taught myself SEO in that year I was pregnant with Finn.
That was
and the website also had a very good name. Would you Googling Talk to the Press? Okay, here's the website. Yeah. And that website had worked off the bat, just delivered leads. So I thought, if we do Brighton Stylist, a bit like with Talk to the Press.
I would never have thought of that name. There's no way I would have thought of that name.
But with Talk to the Press, I just hope that maybe one person, because I was so bad at finding stories at that point, and I was a journalist, I thought if just even one person finds me the story, then that will make my life so much easier. I didn't have high expectations.
But then what happened?
But the same with Brighton Stylist. I thought, come on, there's got to be one person in Brighton searching for a personal stylist. Yeah. So we set up that domain, Brighton Stylist. And
then you built my website.
I built your website.
I did the photo shoot.
I did the photo shoot.
I mean, what's so funny about this business that I've done?
I love doing photo shoots.
I remember that. And I've still got that jumpsuit. I had that photo on my website for just far too long. I think it's because I was leaning forward. And I was
you never looked any different. Even though 10 years had passed, you still looked
I definitely did. I think you just can't see my face that well.
But people did start contacting you.
And some of my earliest clients are still my clients now. I've got some clients now that I've been working with for over 14 years. I know their wardrobes as well as I know my own. And every year. I think most of my clients repeat book, and I've got so many regular clients. It's so easy. I love styling them because I get to know them so well.
So the way it worked in the beginning is you were doing your main job, which was rehabilitating prisoners, and then you would do styling. Was it 1 day a week?
I think it was 1 day a week. So I was basically, when I was service manager, I was doing 4 days a week, and then I basically could see 3 clients a week, I remember. And I got really close to leaving. I think I even handed in my notice at my job. I think it's before I became service manager. I handed in my notice because I just worked out that actually I only needed to work with a certain amount of clients to make as much money as the same money and work half the time.
Yeah.
And for some reason I stayed, and I'm really glad I stayed because then I actually got the manager role.
Yeah, you did get the manager role, and then we're running the whole service.
Yeah.
But I think there was always a thing in your mind, which was, well, was styling really a kind of career?
Yeah.
Compared to, say, the work you were doing, which was clearly a career working alongside the police force with criminal justice in industry, and you had a role in that industry. So that's clearly a more conventional career than, say, being a stylist felt to be at the time.
It is definitely, and I really enjoyed the sort of intellectual stimulation I used to get from working with criminal justice, because you were having to read huge files on people, and I'm very interested in human behaviour, hugely interested in the criminal mind, and you would read psychologists' reports, all the pre-offences. You'd really understand someone's background. So, I mean, I think I'm just very interested in people. And I definitely think for me, styling isn't really about clothes, which, a lot of people might disagree with me about. But for me, styling is about people. I have a lot of people contact me on a very regular basis, because I think now a lot of people realise you can be a stylist. So, I mean, I didn't know any other stylist when I first started out.
No. And we didn't, there was I think when setting up that business, I don't think I knew what the business was. I was just like, people would, I would definitely pay you.
Yeah, you saw.
I was like, people will pay you to take this dress, and if there's me, there must be someone else somewhere, hopefully in Brighton.
You were always outsourcing anything. I remember the days, I haven't got time to chop vegetables. I need to have them delivered.
No, but no one actually properly delivers chopped vegetables.
I know, one day they will.
One day they will. But you were really doing the same role in both, right? So with both criminals and then this other side, which was women, you were really helping them build confidence and take away a certain amount of doubt from them, I always felt, and help them kind of reset their footing in their lives.
Definitely. I mean, I think that there are huge transferable skills, because essentially with my old job, I would have to go and meet somebody and very, very quickly get them to trust me. And these were people that were very mistrusting, and they'd obviously been in this sort of system for a very long time. And I would have to very quickly connect with them, get them to trust me, get them to open up, so I could then decide whether they were okay to have in one of our houses. And obviously very different, but with clients, generally within about 10 minutes of meeting a woman, they're going to be in their underwear in front of me trying things on. And you've got to be someone where they can feel safe with. And I really want people to feel safe with me. And people often say to me, it's so much more than clothes. I've been confidence coaching now for about 23 years. So for me, clothes is like a vehicle to get them where I want them to be, and where I think they can get to. It's not the clothes isn't the biggest part of it. It's more around seeing people. I see people with completely fresh eyes. I listen to their internal monologue when they're trying things on. And they'll start saying something. They'll be like, "Oh, no." I'm like, "No. I want to hear it. Tell me exactly what's going through your mind here." And it'll be like, my elbows remind me of my grandma. My knees are awful. My arms are this. And I'm like, come on, let's get it all out, because quite often we have all these thoughts on our own and we internalize them. It stops us wearing things. I have got so many clients who wouldn't have worn something above the knee because of their knees. And I often say to them, if you lined up all of my friends, I would not be able to tell you whose knees are whose, because I have never looked at another woman's knees. Those knees that you're thinking about stopping you wearing from something. It's crazy. And the same with arms. If I had £1 for every time someone...
Well, I always say about arms. I mean, you're always laughing. I don't know why. It's just these paranoias people have.
Everyone has them, and we all have them. And the thing is, no one's thinking about your arms because they're worrying about their own arms. And actually, it's very interesting working with male clients versus female clients, because with male clients, you just go, "You look good." They go, "Great, I'm buying it." Whereas we're like, "Oh, but my elbow looks weird," or "My tummy's this." We have a lot of pressure as women, I think. And so it's really interesting for me to hear what that internal monologue is, and then to start to unpick it, and to start challenging it, and to start laughing about it together, because actually you realise that it's silly, and that it's stopping you wearing something. And actually, once they get over that and then they start wearing things and they start to get compliments, it then makes them braver and it has this really great cumulative effect. So suddenly, maybe on the first shot, they're kind of playing it quite safe. By the third or fourth shot, they're like, I'm ready for the leopard print. Give me the sequins. I want the gold boots. So, and they just get more and more compliments. And I think when you feel really confident in what you're wearing, the impact is massive because it makes you more confident in terms of potentially going for a job you want to go for, to go and approach that person you want to chat to. I know how it feels when I wear something that's slightly crazy, what people might think, but people come up to you and they talk to you. It's a great, you know this, and when you're at any of your e-commerce events, whenever you presented, I've seen you on stage, I know people always say to you how much they love what you're wearing and they want to know where you've got it from and they think that you look really exciting. And it shows that you're confident, because I think wearing clothes that maybe have a bit of drama to them or they're colourful, you have to be quite confident to do that. So immediately you're signalling to the world, I'm here and I'm...
Or you're just doing what your best friend tells you to do.
Which is either way is having the same impact.
The two come hand in hand. For me, I think, and we'll come on to the process of what you do, but just speaking from an outcome point of view, I mean, absolutely, it's 100%, like it's transformational. Firstly, I don't have to think about my clothes. And then secondly, I know that, and it might be different for me, because probably being your best friend for so long, I am the most special client. But
of course you are.
But for me, it's like I just so trust you, because you're my best friend since I was 4. And then I know that I'm going to be wearing something that looks really cool. And it removes a huge amount of worry from my mind. Plus it has that impact. I mean, I told you about the other day, I was at a CW, which is beauty industry event. Colette, who is a friend of mine, she's the CEO and founder of the Inky List.
Oh, yeah.
She said, I saw across the room leopard print and pink. She said, and I knew there was only one person that could be, it was Tash. And she came running over to say hello.
I love that.
And I thought it was so ironic because actually leopard print and pink is something that you wear, right?
All the time.
But you style me in it.
Yeah.
And then,
well, dressing you is so easy, Tash, because I basically dressed you in things. I know we've got slightly different styles. We don't always like exactly the same thing, but I think we've got a definite sort of similar thread running through. And I genuinely want you to look the best that you can look at all times. And it's exactly how I feel about all my clients. I want people to look like the best version of themselves, and because then they will feel like it. And then that just transpires to like, well, you know, but it's awful when you've got a bad outfit on. You know, when you've got the outfit on and you're like, this is wrong. It's the worst feeling in the world. Like the day, it's just rubbish. But if you've got an outfit where you feel, it's all about how you feel. So when people try things on, they'll turn to me, how does it look? And I go, no, how does it feel? Because if something feels good, you put something on and you're just like, this feels right. But if someone starts fiddling with it in the changing room, or it's a bit this or it's a bit that, I'm like, no, we're going to leave it. It's got to feel right. But if it feels really good, and then you're wearing it in your best colour, it's suiting your shape, you have just a great day, and then you just feel more and more confident. And I think it's really important that we as women don't become too invisible. And I see a lot of women who really have lost themselves. And generally, most of my clients at the moment are either, my clients have ranged from, the youngest client I work with at the moment, I've worked with her since she was 12. She's now nearly 14. And I had a client who was 85. So breadth of all women. But I would say a huge amount of women who come to me are either postpartum, they've just had a baby and they kind of have lost themselves, because we all know how that feels, or they will be perimenopausal, or they will be coming out. There'll be some big transformation that's happened in their lives and they've lost themselves. And I hear this probably every other day. Someone comes to me and says, I feel like I've lost myself. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what version of me I am. I don't feel like myself. They'll be time poor. They'll be in Sainsbury's doing a shop. They'll end up picking something that's not really exactly, I'm not saying Sainsbury's doesn't do good clothes, because occasionally they do, but like you don't want your whole wardrobe from a supermarket. But they're buying it because that'll do. They're not really prioritizing themselves. And what I do is get them to, I see people with completely fresh eyes. They're a complete blank slate for me, and I will help them find who they want to be and make them feel more confident.
And essentially, there's a 3 kind of part process you use, of which people can do one or all 3. I get the impression that now most people do all 3, which is a wardrobe audit, colour analysis, and then a shop. And then they will then repeat the shop on a kind of whatever, annual or quarterly or whatever basis, seasonal basis. Just describe what happens in each of those. The wardrobe audit, you actually mostly go to somebody's house.
Yeah, go to someone's house, go through their wardrobe, which sounds terrifying, but it really isn't. Everyone's always very nervous about it. And everyone always thinks I'm going to get rid of absolutely everything in their wardrobe. And that just absolutely never happens. But we'll go through everything in their wardrobe. We will, and it's great. It's like a trip down memory lane. I mean, how often do you get to really share your wardrobe with people? And I love hearing the stories associated with the pieces of clothing. Someone will have met their husband in it. Someone will have had the best night of their life in it. And you get to hear the stories about where they were. And for me, it's somebody my age. It's, oh my God, I remember this. I remember having one of these. It's really fun. And we used to do that when we were teenagers. We'd all go shopping together. You'd be in that communal changing room and maybe Topshop. We've lost that. No one's got time for that anymore. So, and actually one of my clients from last week, she had a bit of a cry at the end and she said it felt like being a teenager again. And she said it's so much more than clothes, isn't it? And it really is, because we'll go through everything, clear out anything that isn't working. We'll talk about colours, why that isn't working for them. We'll talk about the shapes. I'll restyle what's left. Sometimes that's just about alterations. Like, have you got a dress, for example, you're not wearing anymore? Let's make it into a skirt and a top. I had a client who had all these amazing cocktail dresses. No one really goes to cocktail parties anymore. So we had them all made into tops. And then she's got all these amazing tops because they had really embellished shoulders or quite dramatic sleeves. We had them, all the skirts chopped off, made them into tops so she can wear them with jeans. So I always want to try and get people to get the most out of their wardrobes. And then
I've been through that wardrobe audit process many times. What's amazing is, even though most of my wardrobe is things you've chosen, what happens when left to my own devices is I almost start just narrowing down what I'm wearing, and then you come and do the wardrobe audit, and suddenly even from that wardrobe you get a whole load more outfits, because you'll think of things to put this with that I just won't have thought about, because I'm always kind of in a rush and it's just not my zone of expertise. Clothes is not my zone of expertise. I just don't put enough time into it. I don't put thought into it. So I don't
think anyone would think that of you. That's so interesting.
Well, that's because you basically, I just wear what you tell me to. But you come and then you just refresh even what's in the wardrobe. Plus you're able to figure out what's missing, because you get that feeling. I'll sometimes, particularly now, so we're going through a season change.
Yeah.
And then
you need some jackets.
I need some jackets. So I'm going
to find you some jackets.
And you always seem to be able to figure out what's missing, and then it will be surprisingly small.
Yeah.
What's missing that actually then opens up the rest of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
Like an undertop or a jacket.
Yeah.
Like there's something, and it's nowhere near as big a drama as you think it's going to be.
It really isn't. And I think generally, so the biggest thing is most women have too much in their wardrobe, and they've got too much stuff in there that you're not wearing. You'll have stuff in there that it doesn't fit you, doesn't make you feel good. Because what happens is, when you feel overwhelmed, if you open up your wardrobe and you're someone who opens it up and you feel overwhelmed, what happens is you can't see the wood for the trees. You think you need some more, you buy some more, and the cycle repeats, but you're still wearing the same old thing every single day, but you were just overwhelmed by clothing. Someone once said to me, you kind of halved my wardrobe but doubled my outfits. And that's what happens, is you kind of clear out. Once you're not wading through all the things that aren't working, and even if you've got stuff in your wardrobe that you would love to fit in one day but you're not fitting in right now, you get that out. We obviously do the seasonal changeover. So you've only got your winter stuff in there when it's winter, because when you get your clothes out again, you feel like you've got a whole new wardrobe. So it stops the inclination to wanting to buy lots more. So we clear out everything that isn't working. Then you've got what's left. Then I will identify what the gaps are. And most of the time, it's jackets, it's footwear, and it's T-shirts. Sometimes it's like T-shirts are quite a boring thing to buy. But if you don't have those items, then a lot of your wardrobe doesn't work. Same with jackets. You might have changed from wearing skinny jeans where you had longer line jackets. Now if you're wearing a barrel leg, where it's hitting you isn't good. So you're actually needing more crop jackets. So it's kind of understanding why, if you've changed some shapes in the trousers that you're wearing, why you
suddenly can't wear your jacket.
You can't wear your jacket.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, and it might be that we're going to get them altered and we're going to get them chopped. So I kind of can see so much potential in people's wardrobes that they can't see. And then, so that's the wardrobe order, basically.
And then the next stage is the colour analysis.
Well, actually, the colour analysis happens before the wardrobe audit. So the colour analysis happens where I do the 12 seasonal method, which is basically working out what your undertone is, what your contrast levels are, whether you've got a sub-season at all. And then I'm draping people in about 150 different drapes, as you've experienced. And as you will know, there are certain colours that will drain the absolute life out of you, make your jawline completely sink, make your skin go really sallow or a bit ashy if it's too cold for you. But there are also colours that will make you literally look radiant. And for me, colour is the absolute foundation of having a good wardrobe, because the easiest way to look good is by wearing the best colours. And what happens is that once you know what your colour palette is, then you kind of create a capsule wardrobe in your wardrobe with regards to colour, because all of your colours will work together. And when you're shopping, you can literally ignore half the shop. So you were talking earlier about shopping being overwhelming. Well, you and I both know, because we're both winters, if you walk into a shop and you see camel, khaki, mustard, rust, we won't even look at it. We're not even interested. You can hone in on colours that are really good for you. And so once we've done the colour analysis and we've worked out what people's colours are, we then take those drapes to the wardrobe audit. And it's then just really obvious why certain things aren't working. There will be certain things that you will put on a daily basis and you'll take them off. And most of the things languishing in people's wardrobes unworn is because the colour is not right. Quite often it's because there's a sea of black, because everybody loves wearing black. But for most people, it's not their best colour. So it's kind of introducing new colours, and there's nothing more exciting than finding a new colour to wear. So it's kind of the colour analysis comes first, and that tool, they're kind of tools in your armoury that are never going to change, because your undertone will never change. You're always going to suit those colours. I've known I was a winter since I was 15, because my mum obviously used to do the colour analysis, and I've made many fashion mistakes, but not when it comes to colour, because I really know what my colours are. So we'll do the wardrobe audit. We'll find out all the kind of things that they need, all the things that aren't working, and then we will go shopping for the gaps and bring it all together. And like you say, sometimes it isn't about buying. It's never about buying a whole new wardrobe. It might be about buying a few tops in your best colours and some different shaped jeans and a few jackets, and then suddenly everything works.
And with the shop, I mean, you go to all shops. I know that the things you've bought me, I mean, you don't really do high designer items, but we've got stuff that's been a long-term favourite. It might have come from Sainsbury's, right? How do you determine which shops to include in your shops?
I have like a set route, but it's definitely for me around someone's budget. I would say the most important thing when it comes to wardrobe, aside from colour, is lifestyle. So often people will spend a small fortune on a dress that they will wear to a wedding, and they will wear it once. And really... But then they'll be wearing a coat on the school run every day that makes them feel like shit. That is crazy. Okay, so we deserve to feel good every single day in what we wear. So it's thinking about what you wear the most and then invest in that, because you deserve to feel great in what you're wearing. So if you are, say, someone who's a new mum and you're going to play groups and that's what you're doing, that's what your life is, then you want to be getting a lovely coat, really nice jeans, just things that you're going to actually wear and be really comfortable in, but they're going to make you feel really good. There's no point spending a fortune on a dress that you're going to wear once to a wedding. You're much better off hiring something or borrowing something from a friend. So I'm trying to get people to really think about the things that they're investing in. And then when it comes to shopping, it is just around me knowing what that person needs, what their budget is, what their lifestyle is, and then I know where to take them. It's almost like when I'm with somebody, I kind of have to kind of get inside their brain, think about how they want to look, make that work for their colouring, their body shape, their budget. And then I'm creating outfits as I'm going. So I'm thinking, right, that pair of trousers is going to work with X, Y, and Z in their wardrobe. Right, we need that to go with that. Well, I've created 9 outfits there. So it's generally after a shopping trip, I can think of 50 outfits that we've created from the items that we've bought.
Now, we recently did a photo shoot together, which was my personal brand photo shoot. And I think there always has been a long-term wave towards people building their personal brands. In fact, we've done 2 personal brand shoots for me together. One was 4 years ago and the other one was a few months ago. And I know with all the businesses I work in, that if they're led by women, for that woman, they're always thinking, how do they build their personal brand? Yeah. I can't even imagine, because I've essentially given up on clothes and just given them to you to sort out. I can't even imagine what I would have done or how I would have styled myself to get the outcome of the way that I look in those photos without you styling that. What's your process for a shoot like that for, say, a founder or a woman in business or a woman with a profile?
So it's start with its colour for me. I remember the first shoot that you were going to do, they wanted to put you in very neutral colours. And obviously I knew the back.
Was this when you stepped in? I'd forgotten about that. You were like, hang on a second.
I was like, this is not happening.
Yes.
I said, she's not a neutral girl. She's absolutely not going to be. I mean, you are not a neutral person. I mean, you don't even wear black.
No, I don't wear black, no.
So I remember thinking, no, I remember being sent to mood board and thinking,
yes,
no,
I
that's
remember,
not happening.
Yeah.
That's definitely not happening. So I think with a branding, colour is key. So I can't tell you how many pictures I look on LinkedIn. Everybody is wearing black. I walk through London, if I'm ever up there, which is not a rush hour, but just seeing like a sea of people in black and grey looking miserable. I
went on the tube the other day wearing my bright pink poke coat, which obviously is something you chose for me. And everyone on the tube was wearing black. And then I got on and I just stood there and thought, oh my God, I'm literally so bright in this carriage. I'm the only person in this entire carriage. It's pretty busy who's not wearing black.
I know, but
that's crazy, right? Yeah. There's probably 100 people in the carriage.
And I think everyone looks really unhappy.
Yeah.
I think if everyone started to wear a bit of colour, they would feel happier. And also how you respond to people. When somebody's wearing colour, it makes me feel joyful.
I know people say that to me all the time. They're always saying, I love your coat, I love you. They say, how do you always wear such bright colours?
Because you've just literally put it on your body.
Well, I'm like, I just put it on.
Exactly.
I don't know how I wear it.
I love
just put it on.
I mean, there's a huge psychology with colour. It makes you feel different things. And I think with going on, like talking about black, which everyone seems to wear, first of all, unless you're a winter, it's really not good on you.
So I can technically
definitely wear black because you've got very high contrast. So we're not just looking at your undertone when we're doing colour analysis, we're looking at your contrast levels. So that is the contrast that you have between your hair, your skin and your eyes. So you and I are both very high contrast. So we can wear very strong colours. We can take black. We're the only season that can take black and white, that really high contrast. Whereas if you say you've got like medium brown hair, then you're going to be medium contrast. And if you've got like icy blonde hair, pale blue eyes, pale skin, you're going to be very low contrast. Now I see so many people wearing black and it just kills you. It basically draws you down here, which no one really over the age of 40 wants. And it highlights shadows and dark circles. And there's so many better colours that you can actually wear, definitely when it comes to like photos. So yeah, LinkedIn is just like a wash of people in black. And actually black is whilst it's a sophisticated colour, it's a really severe colour and it can actually seem quite standoffish as well. And if you're somebody that's leading a team, for example, or wanting to kind of inspire people and you're just wearing a colour that's absolutely killing your complexion, it's crazy. You could be wearing even a chocolate brown or an aubergine that I've got on today. You can wear lots of different colours that are just going to make you look much fresher. So colour is definitely point where I would start. If you're having branding photos done, find out what your colours are, because I had a client recently who, she's a summer, so actually black isn't good for her. All her pictures were in black and now she's experimenting with a charcoal grey, a muted navy, and she's able to just look so much better. So it would be colour analysis. I would also be looking at the business that you're in. So for example, with you, or working with a lot of sort of female-led businesses, you're in the beauty industry, you can be quite flamboyant and fun. You don't have this sort of very corporate role. I know there's a corporate aspect to what you do, but you can be like, you can bring in your personality.
You can be yourself, right?
Exactly.
You can just wear, you can be, I always think that what's great about the beauty industry is you can just wear you can be yourself. Right?
Exactly.
You don't have to go into that kind of lawyer mode. I'm putting on a suit. I mean, sometimes I've worn suits because the suit might be particularly cool at that moment, but I'm really glad that in beauty you can just completely be yourself.
Yeah, and to be honest, in most businesses you could. I think I did a colour analysis on one of my clients who's a lawyer the other day, and she was saying for when they're in court they have to wear black and navy or grey. And I was like, no, I get that, because it's kind of like that's the sort of formula. But in most other industries, definitely CEOs that I work with, you can really bring your own personality. And I think as women, like, why not? Just wear a little bit of leopard print here and there. It can feel a little bit out of your comfort zone. But actually, I think when we allow ourselves to be ourselves, you give women around you permission to do the same. And I think if you're in a position of leadership, it's almost like your responsibility to kind of show people how they can be. So I would definitely be looking at the industry they work in. I would then also be looking at the location that we're taking the photos in. For example, when we came to do your photos, I remember the green sofa, and I remember thinking, I know that purple jumpsuit is going to look so good on that green sofa. I remember having you in that blue dress, and I remember there was that beautiful painting that had the same blue running through the painting. And I was like, I want a photo of you in front of that painting in that blue dress, because it ties it all in really nicely. Because I also do interior design, I am always looking for that sort of either contrast levels or like the cohesion where you're kind of like tying all the colours in. So I'd be looking at all of those things, but colour is so important. And then it'll be like fabrics. Who do you want to be? How are you wanting to show up? I'd be talking to the client about sort of like what you wanting to project out of into the world. And then we would come up with some outfits. And I think with you, it was just that kind of just your classic laid back, colourful, relaxed style that we wanted to bring out, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was great. And I think overall that those personal brand shoots are a production. That was a location house, so not my house. I think it's really important because it's just a kind of, it's a projection of what you're putting forward.
Yeah.
And the overall impact of the house, the styling, the photography, obviously worked with Hannah, who's an amazing photographer.
Amazing.
She does what you do by way of getting people to relax enough to have candid photos taken, which is that's also a huge skill that she
really
has.
Yeah.
And then you end up with very high impact personal brand photos, which in turn then change the way people perceive you. So it's quite interesting when you think about what goes into a photo shoot like that for, say, me just as a female founder or woman working in an industry.
Yeah, and it's very impactful. And I certainly think if you're having any headshots done, do have a colour analysis done, because the impact it will have on your jawline, your complexion, how people see you, it's really powerful.
And I don't know if it's because, I've had lots of shoots over the years, obviously coming from a background in magazines, and you do see founders who have shoots done by their team, and it's kind of wrong because they don't really know, the teams won't necessarily know in the way, say, I would coming out of media or you coming out of styling, how in fact you put a personality together. Yeah. It's not just a question of, wear something you feel good in, turn up, we'll take some photos. That's when the photos just look wrong and they're not the same. And people will look at my photos and go, wow, that's amazing. Well, yeah, because we've really assembled it so that it is.
Yeah, and
what's the point? I don't want a photo shoot where it's just, I want a photo shoot that is literally going to make a huge impact. And then that opens up so many doors. Then magazines will want to interview you because you can provide the photography.
Yeah, well, exactly. You've just got them in your armoury, haven't you?
Exactly.
They're just there. But I also think it's really nice with your photos that they really capture you and who you are. So people immediately know who you are.
That's true. And that's because I'm lucky enough to have you doing the styling and Hannah, who I did work with for years as part of my team, capturing me. And I always think with personal brand photography and videography, the female founders whose brands I've built, you actually do have to have the best ones come when the videographer or photographer knows and kind of loves the person, because they can capture them as they are, not just doing corporate headshots.
Oh no, she was so great on the day, and it was how nice was that day?
No, it was
so much fun. It doesn't even feel like work.
No, I know. So before we wrap up, what are the kind of just give your favourite shops or the shops you're into at the moment? Because you find some unusual shops or websites.
Well, I think for me, I would probably say that there's, for any one person, there's sort of 5% in each shop that's good. So that's, I think, why it becomes overwhelming. And you're right, there's just too much in the shops. I go into some shops and I'm like, because I personally don't enjoy shopping for myself at all, which people might be surprised to hear because I do it every day for a living. My mum's a stylist and she's always, let's go shopping for your birthday. I'm like, I would rather not. I really don't want to go shopping. So shopping for me, I think you need to approach shopping as a bit of a task, and you need to kind of go with a list of things that you want and don't stray from that list unless you see something you really love. And you've got to kind of ask yourself questions when you're trying something on. So for me, it would be, I try something on, it's right, do I love it? Am I like, oh my God, this is life-changing. I love this. This is going to change my life having this item. And then I'm thinking, how can I wear this in at least 5 different ways? I think, what have I got at home that's similar? Because quite often we want to go and buy something and we just repeat buy something else. And then you'll probably find that you've got 4 different versions of this one thing when actually you're just reverting to wearing the original and you didn't really need to buy all the other things. And then I'm thinking, can it span the seasons? For me, that's a real clincher. I'm also thinking, what am I going to let go of to make room for this? And that is, again, key. So you don't then get overwhelmed by clothing because it's a one in, one out process. Shopping wise, if I was to take, generally most of my clients, we will go to we start in COS. COS is the best quality fabrics. They create amazing, timeless pieces. I've got stuff from COS that's like 15 years old. You can't place when it was from, because they kind of create a capsule wardrobe, because they reintroduce similar styles in different colours, and the quality just lasts forever. So the T-shirts you get from COS might be like £20 more than one you might buy from Next, but it will last you for 5 years. And I think we've all got to get better at buying good quality over quantity. So I will buy a few pieces from COS. They've always got some very interesting shapes. Then go to French Connection. They've got an amazing team, French Connection, and they just have really fun pieces. But like pieces, again, that really stand the test of time. Well, then maybe it depends on the person, but it might pop into Whistles. We'll also go to Marks and Spencer's. We'll go to Zara, might go to Mango, go to Office for shoes. Also, I'm a massive advocate of obviously buying pre-loved. So we've got pre-loved at Brighton, which is like my favourite shop. I love it. Vanessa's amazing. She has things from ranging from Gucci to like vintage to the old high street piece. And for me, creating like my wardrobe, I love my wardrobe so much because it is generally most days I am wearing something that I've either had altered or I've bought on holiday, or it's been something pre-loved, something from the high street, something from small business. So small businesses I love would be like Disco Kids, Raff and Grace, Wondrous. They're just, you buy just like eclectic pieces and mix them in with some high street and some pre-loved. And then you've just got an amazing wardrobe. And I think if you ever are after something, have a look on Vinted. I would say like most of my favourite things in my wardrobe I've bought secondhand. And don't necessarily follow trends. I'm not a massive trend follower. I think if you are someone that always jumps on like the viral jacket, the next trend, you probably haven't got a really good sense of your style. I think for me, I only follow a trend when like my favourite colour comes into trend. I'm then like, oh, I can get lots of things in that colour. But certainly you need to try and have a real sense of what you like. I very quickly now know what I love wearing, and I don't really deviate from it because I just want things to work for me. So most of my clients don't really feel the need to sort of like update that much because they really love their wardrobes, and it's sometimes just buying a few key bits each season, so their wardrobe works really well for them.
Well, I'm very lucky and grateful that I get to have you as my best friend to help my wardrobe. I dread to think what godforsaken rags I'd be wearing without you. Where can people find out more about you? Where can they find and follow you?
Just if you Google Brighton Stylist, thanks to your amazing...
The website will come up.
The website will come up. So yeah, it's www.brightonstylist.com. or .co.uk probably. And yeah, Instagram, Brighton_stylist.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, George, for coming on today.
Thanks, Tash.